back to Smart Tech. Today we're going to be taking a look at the ezTalks Onion, made for conference calls. It supports a 180p camera and of course has a 120 degree wide angle, which means that your room could be up to 20 meters long and have dozens of people in it, and all of them could simultaneously participate in one conference call. It also has a microphone built in for long-range noise isolation, and even supports Ethernet and of course a Wi-Fi connection. Now taking a look inside the box, we get ourselves the device itself. Then there are 3 boxes underneath the device. Now one of these boxes contains the power brick, another one contains supplies for wall mounting, and finally there is a center large box which actually has a few other supplies for mounting this. And then of course there's 2 wires, one of which is the HDMI cable. Now that's not the longest cable in the world, so you might want to buy one depending on how much range you need and how far away this device is from your input. Now if you are placing it on top of your TV, which is the way that this thing was meant to be used, then of course you are perfectly fine. Finally, there is a really long extension cable for USB as well. Now the device itself is also built very well. It is built what seems to be out of aluminum, and the back is made out of plastic. Now taking a look at the back itself, you get yourself a power button, and then right next to it there is a headphone jack, an Ethernet input. There's also the HDMI input, which is probably the most important. Then of course there's a 5-volt slot for of course your power, and finally there is a slot for USB. Actually there's 2 USB slots with a TF card reader underneath one of them. Now simple as it is, there are a few special things about this device that make it stand out. It's meant to be all in one. So of course the camera is 12 megapixels, 180p as mentioned earlier, but here's the cool thing, it also has high frequency speakers built in. There are 2 of them at the top, and of course a dual stereo microphone is also built into this. Taking a look inside, we can't exactly see it, but there is also a CPU and a GPU to make everything run super smoothly. Now I do want to add in that this device was meant to be set up super fast, and the box of course shows that it is about as simple as it gets. Nothing is done too complicated. There are no extra additional wires for you to set up. It's simply an HDMI plug and play experience. They tried to simplify the process of having a conference call done as much as possible, and let's go ahead and take a look at the actual setup process itself to show you guys exactly how simple it is. Now setting this up is overall pretty easy. First of all, you guys will need to figure out where you want to mount it. So if you want to mount it on say a wall, it already comes with all the equipment that you need. You can mount it on your TV, which is the simplest approach, and then of course there's also a way to mount it on the tripod. So for presentation purposes today, I decided to go ahead and use a tripod since it'll be easy for me to move things around, and of course show you guys how all the different OSs interact, and of course how things sync up and make things super easy. Now of course, next off, connect your Onion to the TV via an HDMI cable. In this case we're using a monitor, so I can of course compare it to Windows and of course have all my devices on the table. Then of course you need to download the application on either iPhone or Android, and then you should be able to connect and control your Onion using a few QR codes. It's literally just scan, scan again, and you guys should be set up altogether. Now I was originally going to go ahead and basically simulate an office setup, but then I was like, that's probably not the best idea since most people don't really care what goes on in the office itself, and camera quality only matters so much. When you're inside of a business or a conference call, what really matters is there lag? Are there going to be technical difficulties? Is it going to work on every single OS? So I decided, how could I go and show off that this device doesn't have any of those issues at the same time? So as you guys can see, I decided to use all 4 devices. We have a Windows monitor over here, and the Windows monitor has their Windows application on it, and I went ahead and tested out their screencasting capabilities, and the screencasting is very, very seamless. Then of course I also have an iPad to test out their iOS application. Once again, no connection issues, simply typed in the number and we got into the meeting perfectly. There also doesn't seem to be any lag. However, that could be due to the fact that our internet connection here is 100 megabytes per second. So if you do have slower internet, there might be slight delays, but overall it seems to be working very well, because I assume most office setups do seem to have good internet, and so that shouldn't be an issue these days. Finally, the last thing we have here is of course the Android application, and this is our master device. This is where I'm going to go ahead and try out the Blackboard functionality. So of course you can go ahead and present and of course draw on the screen as a whole. There's also annotations as well. All of that I'm going to be testing on the Android device, which so far seems to have worked very well. Finally, we're actually going to go ahead and take a look at how everything comes together and whether any of the devices lag in terms of sending the information back to the main monitor, which is what the Onion is connected to, and whether everything is as seamless as they say it will be. Now, I do also want to mention a few of the smaller features that just make this product a little bit more unique than some of the other video conferencing software and of course hardware out there. So as you guys can see, you can use this application to set up a massive meeting, but you can also control who is in that meeting and who is able to join that meeting. You can also kick people out in case they don't agree with your idea, and then of course you can have up to 16 different video streams on your television. So of course, what is my overall conclusion after testing this device on multiple devices, multiple OSs, and of course, trying to do a meeting simultaneously on one internet connection? So of course, my internet connection is pretty fast at 100 megabytes per second, so of course, the video quality was spectacular. Then of course, the quality of the camera itself, and of course, the audio quality was awesome. There was almost no lag, and of course, even screen sharing and presenting had almost no lag whatsoever. Maybe a 1 or 2-second delay between maybe writing the letter hi. Finally, of course, I want to go ahead and talk about the setup. So the setup process was about as simple as it gets. You simply scan the QR code as I mentioned earlier, and that really does make things easier. Traditionally, you would have to type in certain information, and you would need maybe additional things connected to the device itself just to type in that information. But everything seems to be part of the app, and everything seems to be either built in or, of course, within the applications themselves. Now, starting a meeting itself is about as easy as it gets. You can have multiple people in the meeting, and heck, you could even have hundreds of people, technically speaking, inside of one meeting. And finally, the main thing that I did kind of run into that was slightly an issue was maybe the applications. So of course, on the iOS and the iPad application did seem to lack a few features that I saw on maybe Windows, but once again, one software update and that should be fixed, and they can add those in the future. Then of course, the Android application did seem to be a little buggy here and there, but overall that can be solved with a few software updates. So I give the device a nice solid 10 out of 10. As far as conference devices go, traditionally speaking, you need multiple cameras, microphones, thousands of wires, and of course separate mics and other cameras attached to maybe even the people themselves, or of course in front of each individual person. With this, you simply tell them to bring out their phones, download the application, and within a few minutes, everyone should be inside of a meeting, no matter where they are inside of the world. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If so, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. I do have a special offer for you guys. Go ahead and check out the link below. Use the code SMARTTech100 and you can save $100 on the official price. So of course, this is pretty awesome. Go ahead and check it out, and it will make my day. Thank you guys for watching. This is going to be me logging off.